Many people have asked about the multiple uses of impact in Mecha vs. Kaiju. Impact functions like damage in traditional 5e games, but it adds boons and conditions that you can place on yourself and others. Boons are like buffs that make your life easier, while conditions are debuffs that make another person's life harder. Here's a great example of how you can add dynamic action resolution to your 5e game using impact. As an example, let's look at one of the most dynamic fight scenes in recent film, the climactic battle from Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Cap and the Winter Soldier are in the belly of the helicarrier. There is a 15-point impact challenge on the scene. Cap must spend 15 impact towards removing the helicarrier's targeting blade and replacing it with his own, or the carrier will kill tens of thousands of people. Winter Soldier is going to do everything he can to stop Cap. Cap takes a ready stance and applies an Awaken Bucky's Humanity condition on Winter Soldier, spending all his impact. Winter Soldier uses his action, removing the condition, spending all his impact. He shows no emotion. Cap knows he has no choice. He takes a reckless stance and throws his shield. Winter Soldier counters and absorbs 2 stress with reaction. Winter Soldier takes a reckless stance and shoots Cap. Cap counters and uses reaction to absorb the stress. Cap takes a ready stance and puts a disarmed condition on Winter Soldier, spending an extra 2 impact to do 1 point of stress. Winter Soldier absorbs the stress with reaction. Winter Soldier takes a regroup stance and rolls against Cap to remove the disarmed condition. His player narrates that he draws a knife and spends an extra 2 impact to do stress. Cap begins the impact challenge by rolling against the Winter Soldier and spending all his impact. His player narrates that he pushes the Winter Soldier back and opens the targeting system. Winter Soldier takes a reckless stance and attacks, but Cap counters. He absorbs 2 stress with reaction. Both combatants are low on reaction at this point and will start taking actual stress if they don't regroup. Cap takes a ready stance, places a disarmed condition on the Winter Soldier, and continues the impact challenge, removing the targeting blade from the system. It is clear from Cap's actions that all he wants to do is complete the impact challenge without killing Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier takes a ready stance and places a knockback condition on Cap, representing the distance Winter Soldier has forced Cap to move. Winter Soldier's player narrates how he pushes Cap over the railing and down onto the support column. Cap cannot continue the impact challenge until he moves back to the targeting system by removing this condition. Winter Soldier also spends 2 points to add a second disarmed condition, sending the shield flying, and another point to add a third blade dropped condition, representing the targeting blade falling out of his hand. Cap takes a reckless stance and attacks. Winter Soldier counters, so instead of doing stress, Cap spends his 2 impact to remove the blade dropped condition, recovering the targeting blade. Winter Soldier takes a ready stance and tries to grab the targeting blade. Cap counters, so Winter Soldier spends his 2 impact to add a blade falls off edge condition, knocking the targeting blade out of his hand and off the edge of the platform. Cap takes a ready stance and adds a knocked over condition on Winter Soldier, knocking him off the platform and putting distance between them. He needs a couple extra points for the condition, so he elects to succeed at a cost, in this case adding 2 to his distance condition away from the targeting system. His player narrates how he jumps down, ready to retrieve the targeting blade. Winter Soldier takes a reckless stance and attacks Cap, doing stress. He spends 2 impact to remove the disarmed condition, but still has a knockdown below condition to deal with. Cap's player, planning his next move, suggests that the Winter Soldier threw his own shield at Cap rather than shooting him, which is why it hurt. The disarmed condition is still removed, so Winter Soldier has his pistol back as well. Cap takes a reckless stance, planning to remove the disarmed condition and do some stress. However, Winter Soldier counters. Cap's player only has 2 impact, not enough to remove the condition with a reckless stance. Cap's player elects to succeed at a cost, increasing his impact to 4. The cost is Cap's point of inspiration. Cap's player narrates how he kickflips the shield into his hand an instant before Winter Soldier attacks. Winter Soldier takes a reckless stance and shoots. Cap counters, spending the last of his reaction to absorb the stress. Cap takes a reckless stance and throws the shield, but Winter Soldier blocks it. Cap's player uses the shield's drawback, narrating how the Winter Soldier sends the shield flying, but gaining a point of inspiration. He's going to need it. The GM rules that, since Cap dropped down to the Winter Soldier, his knocked down below condition is temporarily not in effect, but gives Cap a point of inspiration to compensate. Winter Soldier takes a reckless stance and stabs Cap, doing stress, and spending 2 impact to add a got that targeting blade condition to Cap. Cap realizes he has to end this. He takes a ready stance and spends his newly acquired inspiration to work, putting a choked out condition on Winter Soldier. Paying off the got the targeting blade condition and reducing the distance condition between himself and the targeting system. Winter Soldier is unable to move until the condition is removed. Winter Soldier takes a regroup stance and spends his action removing the choked out condition and regaining reaction. Cap takes a regroup stance and spends all his impact on removing the distance condition between himself and the targeting system. He reduces it, but does not remove it, so he's only able to climb partway up. Winter Soldier takes a reckless stance and attacks Cap. The knockdown below condition now applies once more, but he still succeeds in applying stress to Cap's vigor, since he no longer has reaction to spend. This will reduce Cap's highest die when he is trying to climb. Cap takes a ready stance and rolls against the Winter Soldier, removing his distance condition as he continues to climb. Winter Soldier spends his own inspiration, and Cap does not get far. Winter Soldier takes a reckless stance and shoots Cap again, doing stress. Vigor stress becomes high enough that Cap will now lose a die from his pool and may lose much more than that if Winter Soldier gets another shot on him. Cap takes a ready stance but must use all his impact to remove the distance condition.
30 seconds, Cap.
Stand by.
Winter Soldier takes a reckless stance and tries to finish Cap off, but he has 1 point of vigor left.
We've reached 3,000 feet.
Ready?
Firing in 3.
Cap takes a ready stance and spends his last point of inspiration to finish the impact challenge. The false targeting blade is inserted, and the helicarriers target each other.